Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name?
I'm Izzy.
Do you think the high cost of living expenses here have affected your life?
I'd say so. So I'm from Portugal, where everything is significantly cheaper. I have to change the way I work a bit, so I don't go out as much. When I go shopping, I make sure that I only buy exactly what I need in terms of food. I'm working more hours compared to what I worked back home.
My name is Li Jun. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Lei Jing. Has the high cost of living experience in the UK has it affected your life here or not?
I think to a certain degree it has. Compared with China, where I come from, the cost of living is really expensive. So I reduced my time to dine out, and also I did not to spend too much money on entertaining.
My name is Vedant.
I'm Yatharth.
Nice to meet you. And are you international students?
Yes, we are from India.
Same, I'm from India.
Yeah, okay, cool. Do you think the high cost of living in London, in UK, have affect like your daily life?
Yeah, actually it did. The budget I planned before coming here, I can say that I've exceeded that. The cost of living is very high here.
So when it comes to budget and the cost of living over here, totally depends on the area that you are located, your area you're living. Since the inflation is currently at 10.4%, I think the cost of living has increased pretty much. And it's a little difficult to manage in London right now.
Could I have your name?
Halak.
Priyam.
Levio.
Louisa. Do you think the high cost of living experience in UK have affected like your life there?
Yes, it has affected our lives. We're looking for accommodation for next year now, and the prices for rent for houses has gone up really much. Same with day-to-day groceries and everything.
But now that we have to move out in our next year, so the finding accommodation is a headache, because then you need to be close to campus, but it needs to be within your budget as well. The rents don't include your bills. Some of the accommodations have licenses that don't allow you to rent a 3-bedroom apartment for 3 or 4 people, so it's just a big hassle. The farther you live from the campus, that means you have to pay more for transport, and your groceries get expensive and stuff like that. So your living cost just adds on and on and on. So that creates a lot of problem with budgeting and stuff like that.
I think the foods, especially for me, has been an issue, because I'm not very good at cooking. So I've had to order loads of Deliveroo's and delivery stuff, and it's been very expensive.
I like going out to eat and managing having a great time here and going out, and with your money it's hard, but it's just you have to manage it.
Hi, my name is Nikhil, and I'm a master's in AI student at Queen Mary's.
Okay, nice to meet you, Nikhil. Do you think the high cost of living experience in UK have affected like your life here?
Yes, it definitely has affected my life. We students have very limited sources of income over here, and given the amount of hours we are allowed to work in, we are not able to, recover the cost of living here. So it has affected me in my studies. Yeah.
Have you been through any problems when you live here? For example, obtaining the NHS appointments and care, and the TFL strikes.
Because I live close to uni, so the strike did not really affect me. But NHS, because they have to make appointment ahead of the time, that's something I'm not used to. It usually takes 4 or 5 days before I can see the doctor, which I think is very inefficient.
TFL strikes were a particular struggle this year, especially because I have labs, so missing them in the morning means almost a fail in my course. In terms of making appointments, I struggled a lot first semester with all of the NHS, finding a GP and all that, especially because a lot of the applications, they ask you for an old address and they don't accept an address from outside the UK.
It was a time when I injured my index finger, and I had written exams, and it took me 4 hours to get an appointment from the NHS, and that was the case in the emergency unit. I think It took me good 5 hours of waiting to get checked up. I wouldn't suggest anybody to go to NHS. I would rather suggest them to go to somebody private. It may cost them some money, but yeah, it's your health, right?
Let's say I wanted to go to anywhere important to collect some documents or anything. The tube strikes really affected that.
Especially during the vacations and the holiday days when it's Christmas or it's New Year, transport becomes even more difficult because either it's tube strikes, so you can't travel at all, or during New Year, either they just have really high prices sometimes.
So once I was really not feeling well, and I had to take appointment, and the appointment I got was a few weeks later, let's say like 3 weeks later, and so that was a disappointing thing. Given the amount of money we pay for NHS, it was very disappointing.
Would you recommend it to your friends or others to study here, like as international students, or not?
It really depends on their situation. If they are kind of middle class, they have money to support them, because I think the tuition is kind of expensive and the living fee, especially in London, and they kind of need a master and they can speak English well. I would recommend UK to them.
Definitely, because I think it's all a learning experience. So I'd say there are negatives to studying here, but there's always negatives and positives studying in any country. And at the end of the day, studying in London especially, it's amazing. You have a lot of work opportunities.
Yeah, I would most definitely ask my friends to come here and study, because it gives you a plethora, a wide platform where you meet people from literally every country, different parts of the world, know their culture, learn how people behave, how people react to certain situations. Yeah, I really think that it's a good opportunity for everybody to come to a different country.
If someone wants to have a really global exposure, I would definitely recommend just coming and studying here. Yeah.
Would you recommend it to your friends or others to study here as an international student?
If I see it from an international student perspective, it was not that hard to figure out how things work. Let's say transportation, accommodation, your lectures, your university itself, the type of opportunities, the type of exposure that you get in a new city. You actually learn a lot of stuff. You learn a lot of interpersonal skills. You grow as a person, as a human being.
London is built around in a way that allows and accepts more international students and travelers. Make the most of it. There's a lot of opportunities. There's so much happening in London everywhere.
Given the education and the quality of education over here, it's really good. So for education purpose, I would definitely recommend start coming to UK. But on the other side, talking about the cost of living, the NHS and all other things, I would definitely not recommend anyone to come over here.